The Joburg mayor, well now former Johannesburg mayor Mpho Phalatse, went to court early this morning trying to block the council sitting that would today deal at an extraordinary level with a motion of no confidence against her. The latest we are now hearing, this is breaking news, her matter has now been struck off the roll. Our reporter Mbali Tani will join us shortly to make sense of what exactly that means and the grounds on which the court has felt it's not going to deal with that today. But let's bring in political analyst Levy Ndou for now to get perspective on the goings-on in the Joburg City Council. So, in a matter of a month, both the DA Speaker and Mayor of Johannesburg are out of office. How did we get here?
Good afternoon, Tembekile. Good afternoon to the listeners at home. This did not come as a surprise. I say so because there is a trend in South Africa, and the trend being that where there is a coalition, you are not guaranteed permanent leadership of that coalition. That has happened in the past since 2016, and it continues to happen. So those are the trends that we have. But it talks to the poor management of coalition. It talks to the bigger and the smaller brother in a coalition. It talks to the inability of different political parties being able to come together and find common ground.
So just
now, when
on
we
that,
come to the City of Johannesburg specifically, it was quite expected because the other political parties were able and succeeded in the removal of the speaker, and it was not a secret that actually indicated that they are now gunning for the mayor, and that actually happened.
And just on that, the sense that keeps coming up, especially when Action SA and the DA have been engaged in this back and forth rather publicly, even though they were partners in this coalition, is that there's a feeling among the smaller parties that the DA basically took them for granted because it had the larger share, the larger slice of the cake electorally. But the nature of coalitions is that even if you do have a higher number of votes percentage-wise, you do ultimately have to be in a give-and-take scenario, right?
Of course. The unfortunate part is that the agreements that are reached by coalition partners would always remain a secret. But what also would be a reasonable arrangement would be that parties that have performed better than others should actually be the ones that are leading these coalitions. Fortunately, that is not the case. Coalition partners that are being canvassed to join a coalition would also expect rewards, and those rewards are in the form of senior positions in the municipality. That remains not reflective of what the voters did. But the unfortunate part is that the manner in which our coalitions are structured would therefore give an upper hand to smaller parties. And of course, that is why you find in some instances smaller parties making unrealistic demands to the other coalition partners, because at the end of the day, it is about positions and positions only. And that is why service delivery is no longer the priority in these municipalities. What then becomes a priority are positions by politicians. And that actually shows the true colors of politicians.
One of the things we've heard in Johannesburg is that the multi-party coalition basically started to crumble because when the time came to find someone to take over from Vasco da Gama as Speaker of the Joburg Council, the smaller parties wanted an IFP candidate's name put forward for the vote as seen earlier this week, but the DA insisted on fielding its own. Were the smaller parties really unreasonable? I mean, if they're going to help the DA maintain a grip on power, what harm would it do to give them their candidate the Speaker's role?
Well, it is in the nature of coalitions that they have to spend the greater portion of time trying to manage coalitions and tussling over positions at the expense of service delivery. And that is why I said earlier, Tembekile, that it is now about positions by politicians. It is no longer about service delivery. But of course, in some instances, you need to have a leader in whatever formation that you have who should be in charge of running the business of the municipality. But the unfortunate part is that within the mind of the DA, it appears as if they want to be the ones who are in charge and, of course, occupying all senior positions in the council. And that obviously did not go down well with their coalition partners. And this should be a lesson to the other coalitions that are going to be formed, that at any given time, some demands that might not be reachable or demands that would appear to be unreasonable are going to be proposed. And if they are not being accepted, then we should expect the fall of such councils, unfortunately. And that, in my view, is not in the best interest of service delivery, and that is not what ordinary citizens want or expect.
Mr. Ndou, let me take that then and throw it forward to the talk, speculation, predictions that by 2024 we may for the first time see the ANC dip below 50% plus one of the national vote, right? If that scenario were to happen and we were to get a national coalition government, I wonder how well South Africa's political parties would do, or if we'd face a situation such as Israel, for instance, where in 3 years, because of these fragile coalitions, people have had to vote at least 5 times already.
All political party leaders would want to become presidents of South Africa. So if we're heading towards a coalition government at national level, and we continue with this trend, the possibility is that we are going to have many presidents in one administration. Politicians are teaching us that immediately after elections, they mainly focus on positions and they will do anything available to ensure that at some point they occupy high positions. Politicians have taught us that when they are in coalitions, they are not that stable to an extent that a coalition can run for the period of an administration or for a period of the term of office. They have taught us in South Africa that anything can happen because they don't believe in stability. So if we're going to have a coalition beyond 2024, strict regulations are supposed to be adhered to, and matters relating to the abuse of a motion of no confidence has to be relooked at so that we have stability in governance. Because what we see in local government level, it's a clear indication of instability, and if this is what coalition is all about in South Africa, then we should be prepared that the West is coming to us beyond 2024.
Right. Levy Ndou, good to have your time, sir. Thank you very much for speaking to us today.